Hi, welcome to episode 345 of the Corner of Knit and Tea. My name is Laura. I'm also known as Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog over at thecornerofknitandtea.com, which is where this episode and every episode show notes will be. I have an Etsy shop called The Corner of Knit and Tea, where I sell my handspun yarn and patterns. And we are a little bit all over the internet right now, spinning for Tour de Fleece. We have a Facebook group called Team CKT. There is some action in the Ravelry group, which is called The Corner of Knit and Tea. And you can post to Instagram if you're spinning along with us with the hashtag Team CKT 2021. So, hi, how are you? It is Monday, June 28th. We are almost halfway done with the year. Summer has officially started, and I just don't know where the time has gone. While the year has seemed long, it also seems like it is flying by. Today is a rather gloomy day. As you can see, I've had to add some lighting. It is overcast and stormy and not cool. It's probably in the 80s, but it has been raining on and off for the last several days. And we'll take it. I wish we could send some of it to the Pacific Northwest, who are roasting right now. So yeah, that's what's going on here. I hope you've had a lovely weekend. Monday was kind of off to a roaring start for me. I had a to-do list a mile long, and I got through maybe half a mile, so the rest I'll have to do tomorrow. But it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I wanted to be sure and get a podcast produced. So I'm taking a little time to sit with you and chat. How are you? Our weekend was pretty quiet. It was quite rainy most of the weekend. I met up with a friend for a little coffee and knitting on Saturday, and then most of the rest of the weekend was devoted to watching the tour. The Tour de France started on Saturday, and the corresponding event for spinners, the Tour de Fleece, started. We have a team, as I said before. It is Team CKT for the Corner of Knit and Tea. We have participated together for the last several years. This year, because of everything on Ravelry, we're a little all over the place. I've set up a bunch of places where you can participate. I love the Tour de France. I like watching the bike race. I minored in French in college, and the French countryside is absolutely beautiful. And in the middle of summer, when it's really hot outdoors here and I don't really want to spend a ton of time outside, and when there's not a lot on TV or coming out new, it's really nice to sit for a few weeks and watch the bike racing. And I kind of use it as a time to spin with abandon. I normally have so many knitting projects and samples and things that I do spin, but my spinning time is limited. And so for the couple weeks over the summer that the Tour de Fleece runs, I generally spend a lot more time spinning, and I really like it for getting, really making a dent in, well, I won't say a dent in my stash, but making some progress on projects that I have hoped to get a little bit more into. So I have some knitting to share with you this week. I knit up until Saturday, and I've done some knitting since then, but my guess is that the knitting will be a little less in the next couple weeks while I spin, although I do have some new samples coming in, so by the time I talk to you next week, I will have new things to show you. So let's start with the tea. Today's tea is creme caramel. It is from the Tea House in Covent Gardens in the UK. I was there a couple years ago in January of 2019, and it is a delicious blend. It reminds me of my day there. I went for a long weekend when my husband was there for business. And I arrived on Friday and met up with a wonderful friend that I had met online and Ravelry, and one of the viewers here. And she and I went to Loop of London and had lunch together. And then on Saturday and Sunday, my husband and I played tourist and did a bunch of things around London, and we went out to see Stonehenge. And then on Monday, he went to work, and I had a day to explore myself. And one of the things that I did is I went out to Covent Gardens. I had thought there was going to be I had thought I was looking for one tea shop, but in fact I found another. So that was really lovely. And then I spent the afternoon in the Victoria and Albert Museum. So pleasant memories of a pleasant trip. I don't know when we'll get to travel again, but I was just thinking nice thoughts, and so I grabbed my cup of tea. This is my tentacle mug, created by a potter who is also a knitter, and also part of the pen and ink community that I know, and I can never remember her shop name, but her name is Julia, and I'm sure I have linked this mug in previous show notes, and if it's something you're interested in, let me know and I will grab the link for you. That was a lot of talking, but it is a delicious creamy caramel black tea. Good pick-me-up for this time of the afternoon. So let's talk about the knits. I have been working on, well, okay, last week I showed you a chicken that I was working on, and I did finish that. It was black and white, and it was plied with silver thread, and I got through all of that yarn this weekend, and I am taking that back tomorrow. So I did not bring that to share with you because it looks basically like it did before, but that was about 800 or 900 yards of yarn that I knit up in the last couple weeks. So I got that off my plate and will be sending that back. So the other two things on my needles are sweaters. One is for my niece and one is for myself. So the one for myself is the Dovetail Sweater by Quinn Reverendo. It is a knit along for Fairmount Fibers, who are the U.S. distributors of Monostel Uruguay, and it is written for Monostel Uruguay Alegria Grande, which is a superwash merino and nylon blend. It's wonderful. It's a worsted weight blend. It's dyed in tons of gorgeous colorways. It is perfect for everything from baby knits to big people knits, sweaters, hats and scarves and mittens, and it's nice and soft so it can be worn next to the skin. They also have something that they call bocados. Bocado means little bite, and what it is they are smaller skeins of the worsted weight colorways that can be used in color work. And the bocados, I think, are about 20 or 25 grams and about 50 yards of yarn. So they're kind of fun, and they are perfect for this sweater. And I am not using Alegria Grande as my main body color because I had a small batch of yarn that had been mill spun. I have it in my stash. It is a small batch from Abundant Earth Fiber in the colorway Pepper. It was spun to be approximately a DK weight, but I find that it's knitting up at more like an Aran weight. Anyway, without further ado, here is my sweater. I don't think it looks markedly different from last week. I am further into the body. I only have a couple more inches before I start the ribbing at the end of the body, and that is the goal for finishing out this month. Maybe trying to get that done by July 1st. I fear that the sleeves are going to have to wait until after I do a few more samples because I have 2 boxes of yarn arriving this week and I have 3 new samples that I need to be casting on. So that is going to keep me hopping for a while. So my guess is the sleeves will get pushed off till August or maybe the beginning of September, but that's okay because it's too hot right now for a wool sweater. I am calling this my hot girl summer sweater because I am working on it while the heat is outside and the air conditioning is on inside, and I am loving it. So I showed you the yoke has actually been done for a little while. The colors are Cactus Flower, Tahiti, Oceano, Turmeric, and Magenta, and then like I said, the other is the mill spun, and it's just a really nice kind of peppery natural color, and kind of looks like salt and pepper. And like I said, I have done a few more inches on the body, but I haven't made huge progress. But again, the body is only supposed to be, I think, 10, 11, 12 inches before ribbing. So I will be finishing that this week, I'm sure. And then, like I said, the sleeves may have to wait just a bit because I have a bunch of new sweaters coming. So, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. So that is the sweater for me. I'm very pleased with my progress on it. Not so much this week, but that I started this not too long ago. And of course it's worsted weight, so it's knitting up quickly. And even though it's the middle of summer, I'm excited because it will be ready to wear in the fall. And that makes me really happy. So that is what I'm working on. I am on my 3rd skein. I have 5. I don't think I'll use all 5. I am just about to start my 3rd skein, so my guess is this will get me through the bottom and maybe part of a sleeve, and then maybe one more to finish it off. And the sleeve does have just a little bit of this kind of detail work on it, so I'll be picking a color for that. So I'm excited on that one, but I don't know how much more work that's really going to get. I hope a few more inches and the bottom this week, but we'll see how that goes. Where I have made the most progress in terms of knitting this week is Roxy's sweater. And as I have said before, you're probably sick of hearing me talk about it now. I am knitting a combination of the Little Sock Arm sweater by Stephanie Lotvin, who is Telly Bean Knits, and the Flax Light Pullover by Tin Can Knits. Basically, I'm taking the concept of Stephanie Lotman's sweater and I'm attaching it to, I'm using the Flax Light as a pattern, sort of as a model. And the little sock arm sweater is precisely as it sounds. Stephanie developed it because we have all these wonderful sock yarns, stripy sock yarns that we put on our feet. And the circumference of a sleeve is not terribly different in most cases from the circumference of a sock. So she reasoned that they would make really cool sleeves for sort of a plain bodied sweater. So she developed a pattern. I believe the first yarn that she used was mustache yarns. And she has developed patterns, both pullovers and cardigans, in both fingering and worsted weight for kid and adult sizes. So she's got a ton of different patterns. And like I said, I'm using the Flax Light pattern, but I'm applying the sock arms concept to it. So I have made a ton of great progress this week. I think last week when I talked to you, I had just a very little bit of the first sleeve going, where I got to add my stripy sock yarn. The first sleeve is done. I have one more end to weave in that has not been woven in yet, but the sleeve is done, and I had already had the body mostly done. As I said, I knit the Flax Light as written. I'm knitting the size 8 to 10. And I knit it as written, except for the fact that because I had all these other colors and things going on, I did not do the garter stitch detailing on the sleeves. I am now almost all the way through the second sleeve. I'm basically ready to start the cuff. That's what I'm going to do this evening. And then I have to decide what to do for the collar and the hem treatment. Basically, because I chose this particular pattern and went up a size, I ran a little bit short of the yarn for the body. It's not super long right now. I have a very little bit more that I can use. That I will use every last inch of this on the body. And then what I need is kind of a 1x1, or it might be 2x2, I can't remember. The cuffs are 1x1, so it's probably 1x1. I need a 1x1 collar, and I need an inch or two on the hem at the bottom. And one concern that I had was that since I ran out of the speckle yarn, what precisely was I going to do for the top and the bottom? And I thought about using the sock yarn and just having it be more like pinstripes in the colors. But ultimately I went looking through my stash and I found this little ball of super hot pink. And I think that's going to make kind of the perfect collar and hem. It will stand out. It will be a little bit different, but I think even with all of these colors, it goes okay. It doesn't detract from them too much. It still stays with some of the colors of the sweater, and I think it's going to be fine. So this is Roxy's unicorn sweater. It's her unicorn taco sweater. That's because the stripy sock yarn colorway is unicorn taco. So I am really excited about this. It came out a little bit lighter overall than I was expecting. I don't think I was expecting the stripes on the sleeves of the speckle to be quite so large. I think I was expecting them to be approximately the same length as the colors. So I was expecting the sleeves to be a little bit more stripy, but that's okay. I think it's going to be super fun, and I think she's going to love it. It has all the colors in it. And so my goal is to finish this by the 30th. Typically, because I'm working with a lot of different samples and things, I try and finish things at the end of the month and then start things at the beginning of the month. And so my plan is, above all else, even if I don't get to my sweater, this is the one knitting project that I need to finish. And I may actually finish it tonight because, like I said, I just have the cuff and then I have the hem and collar. But we'll see, because I am planning to spin a bunch tonight. So worst case, I'll finish this tomorrow, and then Roxy's sweater will be done. So that is what I have been working on. And again, I knit probably a sleeve and a half this week. So I didn't do a ton of work on it, but I did some. And I'm really pleased because this has been this month's project, and it's basically done. So yeah. Super excited about that. I do have yarn for Miles' sweater, but I think unfortunately Miles' sweater is probably going to have to wait till August because I have quite a few things that are coming in the mail. So one of the things that I'm going to be doing, and I mention this because there are still a few more days to get in on it, although I guess you may not entirely have your yarn before we start. I don't know if you remember, but I knit the V-neck tee by Jamie Hoffman, who is Knitosophy, and I knit that as a sample for Zen Yarn Garden a few months ago, and we sent that out, and I actually have posted pictures On my Instagram, the sample was gorgeous. Gail Zucker took amazing photos, and Zen Yarn Garden is now holding a knit along for the V-neck tee. And what we did is the V-neck tee is or I should say the V-back tee, is it's a completely reversible tee that on the front side just has kind of a little bit of a scoop neck, and on the back side has a deep V, and you actually can reverse it and wear it with the V in front. And it was created to use odds and ends and leftovers of sock yarn, and so it has instructions for up to, I think, 3, 4, 5, and 6 colors for kind of fading your colors in and out and creating a cohesive tee. But what we did with the Zen Yarn Garden yarns is we used their gradient cakes, which are 750 yards of fingering weight yarn. It is their merino silk cashmere base. Absolutely luscious, and they are dyed in gradients. And so what we did is we ignored all the color changes and we just used a couple gradient cakes to knit the sweater. And I knit, I think, the either 2 or 3 extra large. It was a fairly large bust. I want to say the bust size was I think I knit around the 55-inch, but I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to go back and look. And I did it in 2 of the gradient cakes, really closer to like 1 2/3, but 2 gradient cakes from Zen Yarn Garden. So they are offering kits in the colorways that that I knit up in the sample, or you can choose your own colorways, and then for a little bit more, you can get in on their knit along, which includes some Zoom sessions, which I will actually be helping and taking part in. What they do when they do a knit along is they have 1 or 2 people from the company or who work with the company or who designed the pattern take part in the knit along. And since I knit the sample, they asked me to help out. So you'll get, I believe it's 3 Zoom sessions. You get access to a Facebook group where you can ask questions and sort of like knit along and cheer each other on. And so we'll be working on that through July and August. I believe the first Zoom session is somewhere around July 11th, and then there's a second one in July and a third one in August. And so yarn is going out. Mine should be arriving this week. And if you want to place your order for the kit, they will send you the yarn and the pattern, and you will be able to join and knit along with us. And if you don't want to do the knit along, you can still also purchase either the knit along colorways or other colorways and knit your own sweater. So that is the first thing that I will be working on in the month of July, and I'm eager to cast that on and get mine going so I have some stuff to share and can talk about tips and tricks for how I knit the V-back tee by Jamie Hoffman. So that's the first thing that will be on my needles the next time we speak. The second thing that will be on my needles is I have another sample for Zen Yarn Garden. We're going to do a sweater for the fall. I believe it is a cropped sweater. It is a pattern by Megan Nodecker, who is Pip and Pin Designs, and I cannot remember the name of it, so I will bring that next week. And then, unfortunately, the one that I cannot show you is I'm going to be working on a cabled poncho for Knit Picks for the fall. So those are the 3 things, and I have in a couple cases, so for Zen Yarn Garden, I have all the patterns but no yarn, and for Knit Picks, I have all the yarn and no pattern. So I am hoping that I will be able to cast those on around July 1st. This weekend is the July 4th holiday here in the United States, and my husband and I are going to my in-laws for the weekend, and so my hope is I'm not going to take any wheels with me, even though it is Tour de Fleece. I decided that I would just best be leaving those at home, so I'm going to take probably 1 or 2 of my new projects with me and hope to make some headway this weekend, because we'll probably mostly sit around, watch TV, you know, eat, enjoy each other's company, maybe go see some fireworks, I don't know. So, that's kind of what's on the knitting docket. So let me take a sip of tea and we'll switch gears and go to spinning. So even though spinning is occupying the lion's share of my time the last few days and probably a bunch of this week, I don't have that much to show you. I did get quite a bit of spinning done in the last couple days, but it still doesn't translate to that much to show you. So one of the first things that I'm doing, and I showed you this on a previous podcast, is I am spinning a sweater quantity for myself during this Tour de Fleece. And this is, it is Falkland fiber dyed by Hello Yarn. It is in kind of a rich plummy brown colorway, dark red, plummy brown, kind of, you know, I don't know how best to describe it, but it's a semi-solid. It has nice variegation among it, but it is semi-solid, so I think it's going to be a really nice sweater knit. And actually, I was thinking of one sweater. I was thinking about maybe doing a boxy, but actually, I think I might do something else, because since this is going to be a very nice tonal, I might be able to do something with a little stitch definition or pattern. Whereas if I were just doing kind of vibrant, all kinds of variegated color, I would probably stick to something really simple that wouldn't conflict with the yarn. So I haven't decided yet, but I am working on this, and this is what is left of 2 braids that I have been working on for the last couple days. And so this is what I have so far. This is probably about 6 or 7 inches, 6 or 7 inches, 6 or 7 ounces of singles, and I worked on this Saturday and Sunday. So the tour is about 4 to 5 hours a day. And we sit down and watch the broadcasts on the weekdays. We usually end up fast forwarding through some of it, so we watch maybe 2 or 3 hours. But on the weekends, we just put it on and leave it on and watch. And so I actually spent 4 or 5 hours spinning both days this weekend. It is usually, just for comparison's sake, I get through about 4 ounces of singles in a week. So I did almost 8 ounces of singles in 2 days. But wait, there's more, because on my other wheel, on my, so this is on my Hanson mini spinner. I love the spinner. I oftentimes just ply on it, and actually have taken more to spinning on my treadle wheel, but of course for Tour de Fleece, I sit in front of the TV for hours, and so having an e-spinner is really, really, really nice. And my plan is to finish up this bit this weekend, which will finish out this evening, which will finish out this bobbin, and if I have time, maybe start on the next bobbin. I have 6 braids, which will translate to 3 bobbins, and then I'll ply them in different combinations so that I can kind of get some of my beginning spinning together with some of my end spinning and try and keep things consistent. So that is what I'm working on that wheel. And then the other wheel that I have is my Ashford Joy, and that is set up here in my office. And often I use it during our Zoom knit nights with my knitting group, which we have twice a week. Or sometimes I will sit and spin if I have to watch a webinar or a video, or I'm doing something else in my office where I can do a craft and participate. So I also spun up 4 ounces of a gorgeous fiber that I showed you. This is Apothecary Creations. She is a local to me dyer, and this is her Corriedale in the Lichen Hop colorway, and it's got some dark greens and teals, some lighter minty greens, some kind of grassy greens, and then some gray and almost blue. So this is turning out really, really pretty. This is the first half of that, and I will probably do the second half a little bit later this week. I probably won't have enough time to sit in my office and spin another 4 ounces, or spin another, sorry, this is 2 ounces, to spin another 2 ounces of fiber until Wednesday evening when I meet with my knit group. So I'll probably spin this then, and then I will take it out to the e-spinner, and when I'm on a break from one of those sweater spins, I will go ahead and ply it. So I would guess that I did about 8 ounces this weekend, and I'm hoping to have 12 finished up before the next few days are up. Like I said, I've got 4 more braids for the sweater spin, and then I've also got a couple more other braids that I hope that I'll spin up. This one is for the shop. As I always say, Corriedale makes great socks, so if you're looking for hand-spun socks, this might be a good yarn for you. It is not superwash, but Corriedale is really, really nice and sturdy, a little sturdier than merino, but still super soft, and it wears really nicely. So that is the news that's fit to print this week. I have a whole bin of fiber to spin. Like I said, a lot of it's the sweater spin, so it's not super exciting. It kind of looks the same over and over, although you'll see me start to stack my bobbins next to each other as I build them up. And then I'll take a little bit of a break this weekend and spend a bunch of time knitting. So by the time we see each other again, which will be next Monday, July 5th, I hope to have more spinning to share with you, and a few a finished project, and maybe a few new starts that I can share with you. So thank you for joining me. If this was your first podcast, There's usually a little bit more knitting content, but I'm focusing pretty heavily on spinning right now, so the next couple weeks will be heavy on spin content. If you are a returning viewer, thanks for coming back and spending a little time with me. I hope if you're a spinner, you're enjoying spinning and maybe a little bit of the Tour de Fleece. Our team is always open to new participants. We have almost no rules. Spin, enjoy it. If you want to be eligible for prizes, you need to post somewhere and tell me you want to be part of the group or share some photos with us. That's pretty much it as far as rules go. Links to the Facebook group are in the show notes. You can find the Ravelry group. It's called The Corner of Knit and Tea, and there is a Tour de Fleece thread in there. I am checking that. Instagram, tag your photos with Team CKT 2021. For the rest of you, I hope you are finding some time to craft some fun things. I hope you're not suffering too terribly for the weather or anything else as part of the pandemic. I am thinking good, healthy thoughts for everyone and nice cooling thoughts for our friends who are undergoing extreme heat. And I will talk to you again next week. Until I see you again, I'll say as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.